إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. I want to mention a few things. First, I'll start with, I want to mention our rate and pattern of evolution. Our rate and pattern of evolution mean that it's very clear. For instance, we were going to go to California, back to California in January. But they assassinated Brother Soleimani, Qasem Soleimani, in Iraq, which he was from Iran, and they martyred his companion, Brother Muhandis. Okay, when that happened, that was January the 3rd. That brought into a whole collage, a whole picture of things that we have been dealing with for a long time. We had been especially dealing with Najaf, Karbala, and what all of that meant, the 20s of millions of people going to Najaf and Karbala. And it proved to be true because those two janazas, those funerals, that they took their bodies first to Najaf and Karbala. And the people, they had the Iraqi flag on one, Iranian flag on the other, and it really unified those people because those are two of the people who've been in the front row of liberation struggle inside of, in the Middle East, in that region, against Daesh, against ISIS, against all of those groups and movements that at the hand of the Zionist state of Israel, who have been destroying and destabilizing that whole region. You could see how organized the destabilization process was because in 2014 you would see truck after truckload of people driving these white Toyota trucks full of soldiers. Those were all the enemies of Islam. You could see how well they were organized. You could see they were supplied. They were better supplied than the Taliban, who fought against the unity of the Muslims in Afghanistan. But in our rate and pattern of evolution, we always talk about evolving ahead of the curve or along with the curve. As history moves forward, it is possible for people, like we mentioned Ikhwan before. Ikhwan have been in a state of evolution, but if the Islamic movement, and we mentioned that during the Arab Spring, if the Islamic movement have been moving ahead, or the fitna against the Islamic movement, or the environment surrounding Islam and Muslims have been evolving at 100 miles an hour, Ikhwan have been evolving at 40 miles an hour. So they're moving forward, but behind the evolution of the movement. You know what I mean? They're behind, constantly behind, because of their own innate evolutionary process. The proof of that was during the so-called Arab Spring, how many Muslims, Ikhwan Muslims, were martyred. The president was Ikhwani, and he got elected, and we said he shouldn't do that, because if you get elected and you can't do nothing, the Zionists are going to work against you. The Americans are going to work against you. And then you cannot revive the Egyptian economy by yourself. So the people will turn and blame the Ikhwan al-Muslimin for their decline, the problems that they have, because you said you were going to fix them. They always need somebody to blame. So the system will make sure you get elected so they can blame the problems on you. Okay. So where are we? And where are they? We say, where are we? I just showed you the little statement about, hey, why don't you tell people your name was Fats? Where's Fats at? That type of stuff. Okay, now, where are we? Fats was my nickname, and it was a short period because I was in the youth authority in California, and I was called Fats for a few months at most because I was kind of short, talking trash all the time. Everybody liked me, at least they pretended to. And so they called me Fats for a short period of time. Now, within a year's time, it just so happens, just to change, not to change the subject, at this Fred C. Nellis School for Boys, they had an adjustment center. And in an adjustment center, they would wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning and throw a bucket of water in your room and give you another bucket with a scrub brush. And you had to wipe that water up off the floor, and you had to scrub the walls, and the police would come by to see if you was doing it. Then at 5 o'clock, you would go out and do military exercises. Now, you can see how Fat's long, and you would do military exercise 5 times a day. That was your punishment for being in an adjustment center. I was Fats for 3 months maximum. The police, Mr. Yahtzee and Mr. Thomas, they used to kind of like me. They was consuls. They said, boy, you was in here and you didn't stay fat for no time. You know what I mean? Why? 5 times a day doing military exercise, and then you finish up with a little run around the prison yard there. So the point is that how important are we in this issue? For them to go back to, what year could that have been? 1961. 1961. What is that? Almost 60 years ago. That's 60 years ago. Yeah, 1960 and 1961. Good God Almighty. Can you imagine? In fact, it was 1960. So they go back to all that time, and they have to talk to, because the police there didn't know your name, your nickname. Only the convicts would know, right? Then the police probably all dead. So they had to interview people that were there. So they had to, because how they going to come up with Fats? Nobody knew that, right? The point is, the other one, Chico, the other nickname I had at that time was, they called me Remo Cheeks. You know, your name is Reem, so they just, you know, your friends, Remo Cheeks, you know. Then they shortened it to Chico. And so a lot of people wouldn't know exactly where it started. So when my grandson was here, and he was, yeah, Chico, and he kept saying it over and over again, I didn't respond because it flashed back. That is, at that time, that was way, way back beyond his ability to even know anything about it. And I even was wondering, does he even know what he's saying. So the point is, who are we and where are we? The things that they deal with go so far back that it goes back to almost your time of birth, and it goes back to how deep they want to go, or they do go. Just the one on fats is enough. That's enough. Fats is that period. 14 years old. Good God Almighty. All right. So how far and how deep would all of this stuff go? That would be related to how much time they spent on us, how much focus they spent on us, right? How much resources do they spend on us, right? How long have they been doing this? Well, we know how long it's been with us, and we just had to kind of let people know how far and how deep this go back. Okay, the other thing we want to talk about is our evolution during this period, right here, during this period. So we stopped from going back to California because it seemed like it was something happening here very important. By the time that happened, that period passed. It never passed, but by the time that period moved, the tension with Iran, the shooting down of the American drone that was worth billions of dollars and all of that stuff. By the time all of that happened, then this coronavirus kicks in. And when this kicks in, this postpones, again, our return to California. I bought that little white car I have out there, that Volvo, I bought that specifically to go back to California in. And I will go back to California. In fact, relatively soon, maybe. Okay. So in arranging our California trip and arranging everything else and organizing around here, getting the house painted, and we do a little stuff there and all of that, we have to prepare for arriving in Oakland. What are we going to do there? What type of hustle we're going to be involved in? What type of methodology are we going to be involved in? Because we're not on the same level as when we left 7, 8 months ago. It's not the same. That's because we are evolving at our proper rate. We are. The proof of that is when this stuff happened with brother in Minneapolis, Floyd. All right, right away, that put us on another trajectory. And number one, there's other things that are involved in this process that we're going through right now. They're coming to a head. And number one, we talked about what was going to happen in this period of time. We said clearly in Juma and on our other lectures that they were going to run the people around the block a few times. They're going to go through that change. And then they're going to get quiet. They're going to forget about it. And then they'll go back to normal. Okay, so what they call normal, that's not going to happen exactly. Some parts of it happen. In the meantime, we went down to those demonstrations and presentations, and we made our own presentation so we would have a real feel. This was our testing period. If you was looking at what we were doing, we were testing the water. We were seeing, we were doing, taking a step forward, and then we were testing them to see what they do. Number one, the first day we went down there, even without the speaker, the police came, and the one you put on, it's on there. You just watch the one that's on the Facebook. So the police come, and he say what he say. So we said, okay, we'll bite at that. The next day we went down with our own speaker. And we talked to the people. The general talk was about they're trying to divide up the community, and how they are so sad because the black people and the white people are working so well together. Okay, that's partially true, but most of it, a lot of it, they're making up. But the message we want to give is that message, because you can't get too complicated on the people and have too many things being said. You can't go down there and explain to them the whole thing. It won't work. You can't do it at Juma. You can't do it. We've been doing this stuff for years, and we're still on the basic surface of this, because whatever happens out front, there's 10 things that happen in the back. So after that, we come down and we do several programs on basically not only sit-ins, but teach-ins and all of those things. And we're actually just talking to the people about the past and the present and the future. If you have certain things that you want to accomplish, you have to be organized in order to do them. Our process of organization have been teach-ins. And you come and you teach the people every day. Okay, you got to remember, downtown and nowhere else, you don't see it anywhere. In the demonstrations in New York, you don't see anywhere where they had teach-ins, where you got everybody there. Now we're going to have a demonstration. This is what we're about. This is where we're going. We have a liaison with the police, right? And we talk to them. This is our liaison. This is our spokesperson. Okay, here's what we're having, a peaceful demonstration. Anybody breaks any windows, anybody burns any cars or stores, they are not with us. Okay, that's the way you have a correct demonstration. This is why we're here. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to accomplish. And also, you mentioned some of the things that might be done to you or against you to prevent you. Also, you have a press spokesman that one person talks to the press. Now, they can talk to other people in the crowd, but that's the official spokesperson. This is why we're here. This is what we want to do. Da-da-da-da. All good demonstrations have some of those elements in it. They didn't have any of that downtown. They didn't have any of that. None of the demonstrations that we observed or participated in had any of those elements. That's the first thing. The next thing is, how much attention were they paying to our talks, lectures, and da-da-da-da-da? They was paying plenty of attention, but you could never see any of it on any TV or anywhere else. None. Can you imagine? There's nobody out there at all making sense of anything, and we're the only ones out there. And one lady that was doing her interview on camera, and you could hear what we were saying going into their microphone, they cut it off. You remember that? Yeah, they cut it off down at the White House.
Yeah. There was almost every time we were there, you would see. Even that last time, there was media press there. They packed up and left as soon as they saw us start the set.
As if somebody told them, look, that can't happen every time. As if somebody told them, if this crew shows up, make sure there's a blackout or a whiteout. That we call it a whiteout. This is a whiteout. And you can't, it's whitewashed, it's so whitewashed, you can't hear nothing. Now, if I had a red, orange, and green suit on with stars in my hair, and I was out there dancing and talking, they would come and interview me. Hey, what's up? And I would give them that spiel. I'm telling you, it was so well coordinated, it's unbelievable. Now, that demonstration, that whole thing, as I said last week, was only 30% successful. I'm going to bring a few other points in. After we went down to the Congress, and we was doing those interviews under the trees and stuff, the police came by, followed us by As-Sabiqun. Now you got to remember now, these people, they're not acting mad, they're not acting, somebody done told them to encounter us, but on a certain level. And they encountered us on a As-Sabiqun, how you doing level, except for the guy that drives by on his the grass cutting machine, making all that noise. Okay, now it's no big deal, but there's a whole field he could have been cutting over there. He drove right by where we was and then went on over somewhere else. The point is, somebody's paying attention to us. We're not an accidental, haphazard reality. Somebody is paying deep attention to us, constant attention, and regular attention. Now, this thing started falling apart from the very beginning. From the very beginning, we gave a talk here about the assassination of Brother Floyd was a sexual perversion. The man had his hand in his pocket. We call it pocket pool. Just look at the thing. He's not moving. The other thing was, this man was assassinated Zionist style, the way they do Palestinians. It's come out in the media, the great cooperation between the American Police Department, right, departments, and the Israeli police departments. So when you want to find the open enemy against the American people, African American people, Palestinians, and global fitna, right now you have to look at the Israelis. There's the American police, they'll try to kill you quick and cover it up and everything. But they're not going to stand there with their knee in you. And everybody's yelling at him. And the guy is knowing, you know he's getting ready to die. That means they studied the record. This guy had 17 or 18, I don't know, 20 challenges on his record. So who knows them? That man was selected and chosen by the Israelis. And he's supposed to do this when the opportunity arises. First of all, they got him already in the car. They take him out of the car, and there's no reason for it. But this is a time to kill this person on television and to bring out all the people to demonstrate. They will demonstrate. They will run around, and then they will call it a day. Only a part of that happened. Let's look at what happened. First of all, the world rose up, and the visualization of the world looking at America, right, is phenomenal. That means America can't talk about freedom, justice, and equality to nobody. They can't invade anybody as an army of liberation because look what you're doing to your people. And all of a sudden, people bring up all the other events that's been going on in America for decades and decades, for over 100 years. And they recognize that. And the Congress pretends to recognize it. And the munafiqs, everybody get on board. They're on board. They outlaw Aunt Mama. Now look, I am pro, I'll admit it. You see what we have down there. What are they talking about? Aunt Mama ain't did nothing to nobody. And it's just a sales gimmick. You know, you put an old servant or somebody, and that ain't no old Aunt Mama like the old Aunt Mama used to be really handkerchief-headed. And you know, each decade they changed that. I don't know. When we was kids, Aunt Mama was really Aunt Mama. And Uncle Ben was really, you know what I mean, Uncle Ben. Now, you know, not to change the subject, but they're going back and they're taking, not only are they destroying statues from the Confederacy and all that, but they're taking Walt Disney films and all kind of films, and they want to take out all of the racist images. Now, I don't know, probably nobody have seen Dumbo the elephant, but Dumbo the elephant, it had some jackal-acted niggas. They was, you know, in the country, they got house flies, you know, in the house, and then they have horse flies. And so these Negroes sang a song about Dumbo, making fun of him. That I'll beat unseen everything when I see an elephant fly. And so they say, they laugh and they say, I done seen a house fly, you know, like a house, regular house fly. I done seen a horse fly, you know, and they laughing. But I ain't never seen an elephant fly, you know, just making fun. Now they want to take those scenes out. If you take those scenes out, you destroy the historical context of the doggone thing. Okay, leave it in there. That's the racist. If you scrub everything clean, if you take Gone with the Wind and take the, you know, certain scenes out, you'll destroy the old context of the movie, the real context. So technically, we into leaving all of that stuff in there. Leave it in there so people can look and see this is how they thought about you, right? Walt Disney thought this. Everybody, it ain't nothing that. So if we allow them to take that stuff out, we will allow them to destroy or deplete the pictorial picture of America. You see, the picture that they had of America and of us. So we have these demonstrations here. And what we have to do is we have to test them. That's what all the things we was doing, we was testing them to see where they coming from. Now, this has happened many times before, and we would test the system, and we would see basically how they're going to respond to us. So I remember there's many times, for instance, with the agencies that searches people when you go on the planes and everything. Okay, what's their name? TSA. So TSA. When I was here, remember, I'm saying there are blind spots. This goes back at least 10 years, more probably 15 years ago. I wanted to test them to see how disciplined they were and da-da-da-da. So I made a few statements. Yeah, they can keep up with me, but see, they can keep up with me when I go on the plane. But see, they don't know who's getting on the plane with me. You know, in other words, they search me, but they don't know who. Now I'm saying that. And right after I say it, you know, with those cheap flights, they're never a direct flight like to Oakland. So you change flights. Right after I said that, they started checking me out before I would go on the plane. And when I got to change flights, they would bring tasks to that changeover flight, and they would check everybody on that changeover flight. And I have that basically because TSA has to record what they do. And I have a record of my flights and where I changed over. So when I go into court, I can prove that I could set, if I want to, I could prove I could make them do certain things. Why can I? I can by saying, it's a test. How much are you paying attention to me? Oh, yeah, well, you can check me out, but you can't check out, you know, nobody else. And so they check out you would have to show your ID. You know, and I would have to show my ID again too. And I'm already checked out. So when I go on the plane, I'd have to show my ID again, and I'm still in the security zone, and everybody else that get on the flight, they would have them there. They would have, and it wouldn't, it was nothing but a check. And so I'm making them use all their resources. You got to imagine. They got to call, they got to do this, they got to do that. I'm using all their resources to send them through changes. Okay, that means, remember, every system has blind spots. They test us all day long. We test them too. That's how we know. That's how we know what we're doing. Look, I'm sorry. We have so far haven't been wrong on our assertions about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, how long it's going to last, or nothing else. Is that basically true?
Yeah, nah, you've been right.
Okay. That means, okay, can't just up and be right. You know, if you got a test, you got to study for the test. Right. You got to ask questions. You got to. So if we're correct, that means that it's something that we're doing that makes our study of them comprehensive. It's comprehensive. And so not only that, but we also discover things they don't know they have, blind spots. We know they're blind spots. And by us acting so correct, they know we know them, and they can't figure out where are our blind spots. Because we'll tell them one or two, but we're not going to tell them their main blind spots, because we're going to we could run a whole troop through their blind spot. You know what I mean? 50 troops of people flying. We could do anything we want because they can't see it. They can't see it because it's a blind spot. It's a scotoma. Scotoma is something that you're looking at, but you can't see it. Yeah, okay. So how deep this goes, it goes back to Chico, it goes back to Fats. It goes back to, our preparation for this job. That's what it goes back to. And that's why we call this the old master. The old master is the martial artist. You know, the young guy jumps up and down, turn flips, and all that stuff. The old master don't do that. He just do. He don't use up all of his energy. That's the way we've been doing Boss Man. Now we'll get back to number one, how much time and focus and resources do they use on us? Can we put them in motion? Yes, we can. Can they do stuff to us? Of course, there's no problem. But you got to remember, we're a handful of people, and we can move the whole government. How is it that we could have the whole police department? Example, do you think that the stuff went down there that a lot of us, when we telling them, okay, this is stage managed, this is this, that, and another, and what do? They pull the police back to right where we are. I mean, we could reach out and touch them. And then the people acting, it lets the air out of everything they're doing. Here I am. And it's our old homeboy, the big old white boy, right? Yeah, he's there. And so's this. The people don't know that it's stage acting. But when we tell them about the Zionism, let me mention this before I forget it. Have you noticed that in the last few days, some football players and what have you, I just turned it off. I said, I can't watch them be humiliated. It was on CNN. Here's what that story is about. Niggas is getting too much play. So we got to shoot in the Zionist. See, this is not bad. I'll explain why. So the Zionists can't stand Negroes getting all this attention. So I see one of the football players said, we can't be in competition with Jews about who's more this, that, and the other, who's more oppressed. Then the other one, the black-looking one, was saying they're twisting what he say, and he telling them something about the Rothschilds, Red Shield, the German family, Baron Rothschild. He's a German. He sent one of his sons to England, one to France, one to Switzerland, he had 5 sons he sent to the European capitals. He was a big banker, and he took control over the banking system in Europe. Okay, but here's what happened with us. They were so mad at the system for spending so much time on black people, because remember, their narrative was only 30% successful. That means it was 70% unsuccessful. What do we mean? When you see, for no reason at all, they bring something up about Jews and what have you, and all of a sudden the old Jewish rabbi died and they run that story out over and over again. If you see Donald Trump, they keep talking about his Russian connection, but they never talked much about his Zionist connection. Remember, they moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Quds. That was a giveaway. They cut off Palestinian money and said, now we're offering you the deal of the century. They was getting millions in charity and everything. U.S. cut it off to starve the people to death. Those are Zionists. Okay, now we have a lot of, the Zionists are very interested in us. They have been super duper interested in us for a long time. And we've known it. Fox News, Zionist. And we knew everybody was telling, not everybody, but some of my family, don't go up there, they're gonna make a, you know, I'm a dumb Negro, so they're gonna make a fool out of me, you know, them smart white folks. I looked at them like, y'all must be crazy. The other thing I looked at is what they did to Sami al-Arian, the Florida Palestinian professor. They set him up, Fox News, and got him to say something that was, that they could stick a case on, Sami al-Arian. So I already know what to expect from them. So I go up there and have a good time. Now, I have to be careful too. If I just come out talking out the side of my mouth, I'm not going to get too far. So when I go up there, the first thing Sean Hannity says to me before we go on, I know you're going to say something provocative. I said, boy, this guy is stupid. So I had a piece of paper with 10 words on it. And each word was a whole idea, a paragraph almost. So all I did, all the time we're talking, I would keep looking to see, and I would go right down the list. And I got to number 7. So out of 10 things I wanted to say, with him asking the questions, I said 7 of them. So I've been a success. The other thing is that he tries to intimidate Muslims. And if he can intimidate you, you can get on this program anytime you want. I was on there one time, and when it closes out, I'm calling him a dummy. And if you're a dummy, you follow a dummy, then you're a bigger dummy than he is. Okay? So he wanted me to say, yes, I hate Jews. I said, Jews? What's wrong with Jews? You know, I'm looking around. What's wrong with you? I don't know if you saw the thing. What's wrong with Jews? I was with the rabbi, and then I had just finished talking on a program with the Jewish rabbis. I mean, when you look at them, you say, oh, these are authentic Jews. Anybody that's wearing fur coats and fur hats and it's 100 degrees outside, they real about that, right? And they do that. You ever see them? They be outside, and I said, man, y'all some serious brothers. And they like me, you know, Rabbi Weiss and all of them. They like me, and I got a book where 132 rabbis against Zionism. So anyway, so Sean Hannity was a total failure. But Fox News, right? Fox News is the premier Zionist network in the United States. Fox News, 20th Century Fox, you know. Warner Brothers, you know, movies. They created Hollywood, you know. Okay, so we had programs here. It was a time when they had a Zionist attack on the masjid. They had us in the media. Imam Musa is a mouthpiece for Iran. Imam Musa do this, Imam Musa do that. And I always take it and make a benefit out of it. It was one Channel 2 down in Atlanta came through. They did a few interviews, and the guy put them on TV down there. And he called me, he said, man, I put your stuff on. And he looked at certain things. I had on those boxes pictures of Imam Jamil, and so he looked at that. He said, you got this on? I said, yeah. He said, so you believe in any news is good news? In other words, any attention is good? I said, yeah, that's what but now he's working for them. But he put the first program on, and he said, your program, out of all other news programs, some had 1 point something or other, some had 1 point. He said yours was 4 point something or other, on ratings. And then the next one, he had it for 2 days. He said the next one, he said, my director called me and he said, Musa. He said, man, the next thing was 5 point something or other. He said, each one of your programs by itself on Channel 2 News was more than all the other news programs combined. If you put this one together, there's 4 or 5 o'clock news, it had 1 point something. Put that one, it had 1 point something. He said yours was 4 point something or other, and the next one was 5 point something or other. So those were the days of Deutsche Welle, German news coming by, Russian news coming by, Japanese news coming by. They were going to use their media against us, like they might do the National Negro or somebody. And National Negro get on there and apologize. I didn't mean, oh Lordy, I didn't mean, anyway, I ain't gonna talk, I swore off of that. But everybody will apologize to the Israelis. You ever notice that? Yeah. They wind up, we're sorry. Yeah. Not us. What you talking about? Anybody, you must be crazy. And they can't stand that, because that means out of all the pressure that they put on people, it don't work on us. And that is bad news. So they gotta stop that, because if people saw all the stuff they was doing to try to crush us, and we just sitting back like, that ain't no pressure, that's normal, then they lose effectiveness. So we already defeated the Zionists in the media. We defeated them badly, okay? So now they try to mainly use all those points. But the other point is that we have been so effective in what we do, we've neutralized all of the Zionists. So the only way they can be successful is just keep us out of the news. They had third wave, and they had jihad and all that. They distributed 28 million free CDs and videos in America. Yeah, this was 2007. Obama came in, 2008, right? This was the year before that. This was during that period. Because they had the news was by here, they was doing a couple of interviews. Then down at the Willard Hotel, Brother Abdul Haq and I went down there for an interview, and they said, we're independent. They told us we're an independent news network. I said, okay, independent. I'm thinking about NPR, somebody. I went down there, they got several rooms, and I see all the camera stuff out there. I said, man, Y'all not independent, you ABC or something like that. Yeah, we're on loan to an independent company. I say he's a bunch of, so I already know the fix is in. So now the people with the earphones on doing all that is two guys. They're about my age and Abdul Haq's age, Islamic Party, Abdul Haq. And I know how to jive with white folks, especially my age. So I'm dropping, and I do it all the time with them. So I'm doing it with these guys. They're not moving at all. They don't want to hear it. Either they don't know what I'm talking about, or Abdul Haq said they're not responding because they Israelis. So they don't get, like old white folks my age, they don't get, you know what I mean? And in other words, and plus, they ain't no smile. This nigga is our target. You know what I mean? And whatever they doing, they're not happy about nothing. You can't make them laugh. You know what I mean? You can't get them to lower their guard a little bit. Like even at Fox News, when I was up there, all the cameramen, they doing their stuff. So you used to be a drug dealer. I said I dealt mainly cocaine and marijuana, and I dealt good cocaine. I didn't deal the best cocaine. And so I'm watching the guys. They all, they probably, so wonder their nose wasn't running. But I'm telling you, you know what I mean? You can pick up stuff. So I'm letting him know, yeah, I wasn't no Negro cocaine dealer. I supplied raw, pure cocaine. Oh no, they was in on it. They there because they New Yorkers. They're in the media, their camera. Well, what else they gonna do with their money besides a little smoke and a little cocaine? But anyway, the point is that the Israelis had to be forced back. You got to remember, the Israelis have had bad luck with us. Remember I talk about LA sometime when the Jews, the rabbi come running up talking about, you're a hater, The time it was an Iranian Jewish guy said, what is A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitani Rajim? Do you remember? Okay. Now, that time, I was at UCLA. That was Rabbi Chaim. I heard his spirit so bad that the other Jewish kids was crying. And some of the other Muslims, which was Uncle Tom's, they were actually crying. I said, that's great. I said, they tear gas us, blow us upside the head, take our property, and so it's fine. At UC Berkeley, before that, we had the Triangle of Terror. Israel, South America, USA. Yeah. South Africa, USA. We didn't have Saudi Arabia on that one. And the Jews come, and we had the flyers going all around. They come in mass, and everybody gets scared, And they used to get scared of me because, like, once we was at UC Davis, this was a long time. This was 85. So the Jews put out a letter about all the good things they've done in history. So they said, that this is what they put out. I said, okay. So when I started, I just said, give me that list. I looked at the list and I went down. I said, all the good things you've done. In 1935, when Mussolini was poison gassing the Ethiopians and the Somalis, they begged the Zionist Congress for help, and you told them basically to go to hell. You know, and I went on down the list like that, and then I took the list and threw it out in the crowd. Everybody said, that's a bad nigga there, boy. You know, they from, hey, you talking about the Arabs and all of, they were shocked. Because we never deal with the Zionists on their level. Well, we took a little land, but they didn't do this, and we don't deal with them on that like that. We just call you just a bunch of criminals. You're Nazis. You're practicing Nazism. You're the Gestapo, like they did the Jews, like the Jews was done in Germany. That's the way you do the Palestinians. Exactly. And that's all we talk about them on. We don't try to answer their question. You'd be crazy. What about this? I don't know nothing about that. Here's what I do know about. So anyway, let's get back to what happened is, what's happening in America right now? Not that America has failed, but the Zionists have failed. Remember, they were only 70%. Why do we say that? We talked about it before. Remember, we're on point on all of this stuff. Remember the president down at the White House walked across to that little church where we was down there? And everybody was, and he held up the Bible that time. Okay, when he held up the Bible, at the same time, he tear gassed a lot of the demonstrators. Okay, then he went across to the church, right? And then later on, he had the general, 4-star general, walk out there. Okay, where does the failure come in? Remember a few days later, Colin Powell, Mad Dog Mattis, all the generals said, we are not for that. We uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. Now you got to remember, all of those generals, you know how they are in the military, they follow the chain of command. Now, okay, Colin Powell was Secretary of State, but he was also head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, right? And then Mad Dog Mattis was a 4-star general, right? So it goes on down. So from the very top, you remember, they still look up to their original. And so the Zionists failed because the national disruption that they wanted to start by killing that brother, and then another suspicious killing come up a few days later down in Atlanta, right? Why would they do that unless something is wrong? It don't make sense, okay? And then the white girl that set Wendy's on fire, they was mentioning her name when he was there asleep. And then if he was so asleep, I know adrenaline will wake you up, but that boy was throwing pretty good punches. And he headed on off, and he didn't run like, when you that drunk where you can't hardly, anyway, I done seen drunks before get arrested. They're drunk when they arrest them, and they stay drunk. When they go down to the jail, they lay out drunk. And there ain't nothing that wakes them up when you're that, even a little adrenaline. But anyway, they lost. Here's how they lost. They lost because, number one, they was not able to start a racial incident in the United States. Number two, they lost because of focus, their own idiocy returned their focus to the Zionists. Number three, the world is against the transfer of that property in occupied Palestine to Netanyahu. He's falling apart. So that virus is killing all of that stuff. Donald Trump started with the virus. Excuse me. Salam alaikum.
Do you have a refrigerator downstairs? Does it still work?
No, what's wrong? Is the refrigerator not working at the house?
No, I'm trying to buy refrigerators to take to college.
Oh, okay. Don't worry. I'll call you back later. We'll go down to wait a minute. Are y'all gonna fly up there
Yeah, we have to order this stuff online.
and you can have it delivered up there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I don't have one downstairs. You could buy it up there when you get to college. But I'll talk to you in a few minutes. I'm doing a program right now. I'll talk to you in a few minutes. So anyway, so what we have done is we've nullified the whole Zionist approach. The whole Zionist approach has been a failure. Failure to start interracial warfare, because what it did was it made everybody like Negroes, right? And then part of their whole plan was to bring out all of the white folks. There's a herd mentality. In order to bring out millions of people, all you have to do is have hundreds of them strategically located, and they'll bring out, each one of them bring out thousands, and that's what they do. They got them strategically located. So the demonstrations showed a picture of America that could exist. Remember, we have always said 25% of those people are ours. 25. They're good people. Okay. 25. So I'm going to pick up a little bit. The Israelis have failed on every level. They've only been 30% effective. They was effective to get people to come out and run around and da-da-da-da-da, but they were not effective in getting what we said from our other lectures, that Hitlerian effect with Donald Trump is gone. He can't do that. Now, Hitler was able to start World War II. He got millions of people killed. Donald Trump, if he would have played his cards right or wrong, he could have got the world into a big tragedy. You got to see, that's where he was headed. That's where he was headed. Even the silly white folks know that he's trying to start, they say he's a great divider in chief, to divide up the American people when America needs a unifier, right? So he failed on that. Okay, on the military point, to get the army on his side, the military on his side, failed. Because the big army brass said, man, we ain't into that. We're not going to support you or your administration. And even that big general is still on duty now. He issued a statement that I apologize for that. We're not, he's active duty now. I apologize for that. I'm not going to be used with the military. Is not going to be used for any of that. Okay. All of that is big. So they failed on the Zionist part, or they've exposed themselves that who's behind all of this? Is it the Americans or is it the Zionists? It's the Zionists. And they failed in a good way. No, here's good. They have unified. Now you got to remember now, where are we at in America? And then think about where we are too. Where are we at in America? Who are our allies? Think about who we talk about as allies all the time. And we're supposed to be so downright revolutionary and wanting everybody to disappear, but we're always talking about America the good. America the good. So we have to think about our message to America. Is not that our message to America from our doers that we made, right? Allah gave us, we wanted a fiasco in crisis management, and we got it in spades. We got more than what we asked for. So you can't say, man, what do we do now? No, we got what we wanted now. Here's what we have to do. Okay? So our message is to preach the message of healing to America. Now, remember America. The picture of America, I'm not talking about the America that brought us here as slaves and took all the land from the Indians. I'm not talking about America that's darn right murderous to this very day. I mean, I'm not talking about that America. I'm talking about the possibility of America when the Quran says about us, you will be judged by the best of your deeds. Okay, the best of American deeds is not behind it. It's not, don't have. But now, going forward, America needs freeing and it needs liberation. Liberation from who? It's pretty much clear that America, its policies in the Middle East, its wars with the Saudis, having them kill Yemenis, with Iran, with the invasion of Iraq, all of that is from the Israelis. The Israelis keep that part of the world divided, fighting and killing each other. And whatever we do is fine. Okay. So our message, we have to make use of all this clownery and buffoonery. And it's insane. I mean, I don't know if you listen to the news today or anything, but I'll go back and listen to it again and over again. Why? It's so ridiculous. And nobody knows why it's this messed up. Nobody knows. We have to tell them. But this is all of America. Now, this is where it gets a little sticky. We have always talked about kindness, forgiveness, love, compassion, and all of that. We've talked about America the good, not America the great. So now is the time that our message is a message of healing for the American people. Healing for the American people. When I say the American people, that means all of the American people. And that means that old world that we was living in, now all the stuff we've been talking, you notice when we talk about Imam Muhammad's greatest lecture, we talk about 1976 in Philadelphia, remake the world. So we talk about all the time. That's the tip that we have to remain on. Remake the world. Now, America probably cannot be number one. Obama used to come up and say, we're still number one. Okay. America cannot be number one in production and all of that. But America could be number one if it changes, if it heals itself. It can become number one in futurism. America could go totally green, not production. Maybe we don't need production for a while. But like Roosevelt used to have cleanup camps and conservation camps, right? We'll have cleanup camps all over America. That's what we'll employ. Clean up America. If we start first, and if we get out in front of the Chinese and everybody else on this modern electricity, solar energy and all of that, right? And we switch to that. See, we can't beat them in the old production. We sent our old production over there, and they got what we had. Okay? So what we do is the world don't need too much production now, right? We got to clean up the whole, I know we talk about this almost every other week, but America heals itself and heal the world. Heal itself, all of our internal strife, that's a great goal, and heal the world. Clean up the earth. Heal the earth, yeah. That's what our message is right now. And that's why we didn't go back to California. Don't have to know why we didn't go back. But we had to go through this process here and now for it to make sense. In other words, Allah's in charge of all of this stuff. Okay. Healing America. Healing ourselves. And you can see from them demonstrations, if it's only 25% of the people, that's plenty. Yeah, that's plenty. That's more than enough. If we can get this message in the media and we can spread this message to the public, it is a Quranic message. Technically, it's forgiveness. Technically, it's brotherhood. Technically, that Allah gave us the earth with balance, and we want to help take things back the way Allah gave it to us. In other words, is the world a better place since I've been here? Or when I leave, think about it. That's the message. Everybody should say this. Is the world a better place since I'm leaving? When I got here, how was it? Is it better or is it worse? That gives each individual a lifelong mission. Then it's always in the back of their mind that the world should be better when I leave than when I came. That from me, I can only do 0.0%, but is it better? Am I making a contribution to a better earth, a better humanity, an improved humanity? So really, the message that's our message to the American people right now. That's our message. The new America. The message of healing. And America needs freeing. Who does it need freeing from? From the Zionists. Now you think about it. Who's America beginning to wake up on? They begin to look around and said, we have 22 people a day dying. Suicides. For what? For Afghanistan, for the Middle East, for all of those wars. We didn't get nothing for it. No weapons of mass destruction, no this, no that, da-da-da-da-da, and we're dying for it. We've lost legs, arms, eyes, ears, and can you imagine the amount of people that the people and families, because for every soldier that's messed up, that's their whole family messed up. It's the whole family messed up. And maybe an extended family, because their parents are always worried, their wife, their children, sometimes they beat the children, sometimes a kid make a noise, they pull out a gun and almost ready to shoot the poor kid. You know what I mean? That stuff is really happening. Those generals are saying to these politicians, F you guys, man. You didn't, look what you done did to my boys. This is the way they think, them old cracker generals and Negroes too. My boys, when you just treated them like SHIT. Okay, that means Donald Trump has been a great gift to America. He has. I mean, he's been a great gift to us. You got to remember, we're sitting here praying, oh Allah, just give us some buffoonery, just straight out pandemonium. We didn't use that word, but imagine, we got pandemonium. Can you imagine? Look at America like right now, when you watch the news. This is biblical, Quranic stuff. Don't worry about fire season to be here in a minute. In fact, I think they have more fire. I just looked at the statistics. Think about the world, man. Think about the world. Right now, it's pandemonium. And this great leader, I'm a wartime president stuff, this guy is the stupidest man that ever existed. And he got famous on a reality show, and he want to make the world his plaything. You're fired. Can you imagine? And he be firing people, boy. You can't get fired no quicker than just say. And then all the people that they love, this Fauci guy, he come up after Don, and he said, Don said, can you imagine? We're doing fine. Right now, he said it this morning. We're doing fine. I don't know what it's 135, 40, something like that.
They were saying, what, 15,000 cases down in Florida? New cases that popped up.
Oh, no, I hate to see them maps with red on it. And these are big states, California, Florida, good God Almighty. I mean, this is getting into the range of Spanish flu type stuff. It's getting into if this stuff, and then now, old Doc said that this is part of the first wave. No, he said, no, this is not the second wave. This is not the winter wave that we got. This, when it was going down a few weeks ago, we had our mask on. When Don told, can you imagine? He told everybody, open up and look at the numbers. That guy is killing off people by the zillions. I mean, so really, this man will go down so far as the biggest crackpot ever to grace the White House. But he also comes out as a stepping stone, as El Salvador, as a savior to the American people by showing them how bad things get if you listen to people like that. You got to remember what he blew. The world, if he would have played the cards right, he could have united the white folks that like him and all them old blacks and Mexicans and all that. He could have turned that thing, if he'd have played it smooth and smart. That's what he was trying to do. He could have pulled that off. He blew that. Just think of the blessing. So nobody can use that for the next 50 years or so, if we hear that long. Nobody can use that again because he blew it. He blew the military. So now, the healing process. Now this is, I believe, what our mission has always been, is this healing process. I'll get into it later, but that'll be what our next lecture will be about the healing process in America, about how we can actually go through the process of healing America. Now remember, when we're talking about healing America, we're talking about healing all of America. Because remember, all the things that we talk about, the ability to overlook each other's faults and ability to forgive people for what happened in the past. It's okay, forget it. Are you justified in being? You're justified. Okay, it's fine. But we can't go over here if we drag that with us. That's okay. The black nationalists ain't gonna want to hear that. The crybabies are not gonna hear it. They're gonna be back there. They're gonna sit there at the 40 acres and a mule, and they're gonna whoop that mule till he dies of old age. Because they won't be able to let go. Think of a marriage of people trying to go to revive, renew, restore their relationship. Suppose every time you get 2 steps this way, you get into an argument about, you did this to me, you did that to me, right? Way back when. And what they did is true. But you'll never get over there. You'll never get over there. Because you can't change that what you did. But you can write your history. This is what we want. Now, this is what we've been meaning by writing our own history for America. So, call America to the best in their history and the best of where we want to go. The Quran says, we will judge you by the best of your deeds. It actually says that. The best of your deeds. So that means whatever you did before, you got time to start putting some good stuff on this side with an individual and with the whole nation. So we have a choice of what we're going to try to do, and that's the choice we take. We take the good choice. And remember, we haven't been talking about alliances with good people. We haven't been talking about there's 10 to 15% good people in the FBI. Well, that's 10 to 15 good people and percentage in the Army, in the Air Force. And the more people see all of that, when you reach out to people, you reach out to the best in people. You can go in, and most cases, you can make more money by misleading the people, bringing the worst out of them. You can. But we have a choice. So we're going to go for the best. That's our choice. Anybody come around us, we're going to tell them, oh yeah, our choice is to bring the best out of the people. What happened, what you can see back, you're not a better historian than we are. We can relate all of that stuff better than you. But over there, do you see clear water or muddy water? Do you see acid rain, or fresh rain? You know what I mean? Do you see forest fires burning up everything? Or do you see a green, lush pasture land? What do you see? Right? Do you see snow-capped mountains or do you see barren wastelands? Right? So the stuff about our picture of the future, we down with that. We believe whatever we see, that's what we ought to work toward. Okay, let me see if we missed anything. We talked about how much time and focus and resources the government have used on us. Forget it. If they don't know who we are by now, that's too bad. But I always have felt from way back there's 2 groups of people. In our case, one, let's kill the nigger, and the other saying, well, something or other. And I think we're tipping the balance on the other side. You see what I mean? I think we're tipping the balance on the other side. Okay. The last thing I want to close on, or one of the last things, is what you're going to use and how you're going to use it. Remember, I always talk about that my father was born in 1900. So I grew up learning how they dealt with white people down in the country, their attitude and everything. And that means all of my father's friends, they were that age, and they had to be special Negroes to know how to get what they needed and wanted, right, in a system that was designed to keep them dumb, broke, and penniless. And so I learned that. But also I learned the Malcolm stuff and black nationalism. And when we got a chance, we instituted it right there in Oakland, and I would say we were successful. And everybody else that was there would say the same thing. Because it was the only, now you got to remember, we were in our early and middle 20s. When I left America, I was 26 years old. That's at the end of that spree. I was 26 when I left. So that means 21, 22, 23, 25, 24 might have been one of the high points, 20. That's when we was doing all that stuff. It's almost a kid, still nursing almost. So if we can do that then, and then the next stage is when we all getting Africanized and South Americanized. Technically, you're getting humanized and being able to put the whole human history into a place. Now you can make everything fit, right? Then you come to Islam. So once Abdul Malik and I in Oakland was arrested for not having an ID. We was getting ready to go run. Actually, the police wanted to arrest us. Well, Abdul Malik wanted us to be arrested together so he could monitor my response, of an arrest. So I just, as normal. So we arrested, and we went down to the jail, and they let us out. We just walked through the jail, Rebecca. So while we was on the way down to the jail, I started talking to the police, and I looked at his name, Michael something or other. So I know he's a white boy, so Michael, he's Irish, generally. So how do you feel about the IRA? IRA, Irish Republican Army. And so Abdul Malik says, you can calm a police, and you have the ability to calm these people down anytime you want. So I didn't say that, I know. All I got to do is look at them, and I can go back 100 years. I can do that because I wasn't stupid like everybody else, not paying attention. Those old Negroes had to have something special just to get to where they got. They had to study their mentality and study their thinking. We can apply that even now. Okay, so what I'm saying is this. This dreamland that we're talking about, somewhere over the rainbow, all that type of talk, that's real. real because it's possible. It's not real right now. Maybe it can be real with an individual. For instance, when we talk about contentment and all of that, that's true. That's absolutely true. What we're talking about is not for personal gain, but for community gain and to please Allah. When you get that way, you can become very forgiving because Allah did all that stuff. You know, if I talk to people about the so-called, they would say that was a very painful life. And I look at it, it wasn't painful. Little stuff like I was talking about the white man run us around the yard 5 times a day. And then you get at 4 o'clock in the morning, he throw water in there. And then you have to wipe it up with a little rag, a little hand rag. You got to be there. You can't just, and a brush to scrub the walls. And then the rest of the day you're going around on your knees and hands with little pieces of blankets buffing the floor in a line. That's what you're doing all the time. You're in an adjustment center. You know, and then the police busting you upside the head and all of that all the time. And then the psychological, and then the emotional things that they put on you, you can only imagine. And Allah bring you through it. Like, you know, I don't blame all the people that do what they do. You know, I don't blame them for being what they are. You know why? Hell, that's what they didn't sign up to fix the world, to change the world, or they didn't sign up for that. And it scares them to death. You know, I look at my families, different families, and they didn't sign up for this stuff. Or they might agree to get married or this, that, and other. Then they say, wait a minute. You know, no, they didn't sign up. None of the people signed up for this because they can look at it, they don't understand it. Now, we go out to California and we get $100 million or $50 million. They're going to understand that. The government had already set it up where we have to, something like that. But we ain't running out there today to get that. But it's out there waiting because they done already set it up for that. And they send me messages, come on and get it. Because I come when you can see what we're doing. No, it's more important. And it's under our guidelines. Like, we tell them, okay, we want our, JCPOA stuff. And we know what that is, but we want that. And we tell it to them where they can't do it. We say, we want you to surrender to a nigger. It's the government we're telling. Now they can't do that. It's maybe 1 in a zillion chances. But we're telling them what we want them to do in a way they can't do it. We're not saying, oh, boss, come on, just be a good old boss. You're a good old boss. We know how to tell them that. We're not saying that. Why? Either you do like we say, which you can't, maybe after the 3rd wave of this stuff, you know, after the oceans, the Potomac is boiling over, they might come on and say, okay, you was right. I said, but all the fish is dead, they're too late, you know. So, but we're telling them in a way that they can't do it. We're doing that on purpose. Everything is out in the surface now. They can't pretend. Everything we told the people, we done had years and years. Remember, these things are very repetitive. We ain't going way over here and way over there. We got 5 or 6 subjects, and we repeat them over and over again. If they try to hide anything, it don't make no difference. If somebody get 5 of these DVDs, or 4 of them, or get 1 or 2 of them, and can go around and knock on a door and find any of those, they put 4 or 5 of these together, hey, they're going to have a picture of what we've been talking about. The other thing is, It's when you're able to accept the human being as they are, it relieves you of a big burden. It's just, hey man, if you mad at people, like I told my son, I said, if you kill every nigga for being a nigger boy, it ain't gonna be no more Negroes here. Because it's as though not only the shaitan, what he do in the Quran and the Bible stuff, he plays on the human being. And the human being gonna listen to him almost all the time, right? That's just the way that is. And then Pharaoh too, Pharaoh just buys with all his money and all his power. Now suppose there come a time when Allah makes that look like it's useless. It's not of any value. That's the time we're living in now. We're living in a time of pandemonium, and we're going to use, it's a word that we don't use much in modern times, but it's not only contentment, but happiness. We believe that the world could be a majority happy place. And we believe that we could manage our affairs now with all of our historical knowledge, scientific knowledge, that we don't have to be, it don't have to be people sick that they can't get treatment. It don't have to be people that living outside unless they want to. You know what I mean? We don't have to have people that's snowing and raining and freezing to death and they homeless. We don't have to do that. We don't have to have that. Okay, I'm gonna close with this. It's our choice. And along with our choice to do those things that are good and that are best for the people. Some of the other stuff, I'll just save it for another time. But I'll just mention, as we said before, no Arab Spring. It was no Arab Spring. Obama used the limits of his things to get a treaty with Iran, to at least, first I thought he was just going to be a pure Uncle Tom, and he did hurt a lot of people. But he did a couple of things that made the Zionists mad. Ooh, they mad. On that treaty with Iran and on all that stuff, boy, he is mad. So signs are everywhere. It's got to be real because the FBI really did come by here and talked to us and said what they said. That really happened. That really happened. Okay. Okay. The takeover or to try to give Palestine away to Netanyahu, to the Zionists and all those, it's a backfire. It's gonna, the backfire was all over America. That 70% failure and 30% success in all of what we've been seeing. It's not a total failure, but it's 70% failure. That was a test run and it backfired. We're thankful to Allah for all of that. America as our allies, we talked about that. We talked about confidence in As-Sabiqun. That means that after a certain amount of time, you have to, or you could, if you like, develop a little confidence in the Negro. Because Allah sends certain things at a certain time, then they're gone. If you miss that bus, if you miss that whatever it is, You have to wait to the next one, which you may be dead, the world may be in a worse place. What I'm trying to say is, As-Sabiqun has a part to play in this. It has nothing to do with leadership role, a role of cooperation with people to make a better world. Okay. We'll talk about the Zionists a little bit more the next time. Historical Zionist behavior. Our message to America, our duas to Allah have all been fulfilled in spades. Crisis management has been manifested. It's crisis. It's ridiculous. You know, okay, buffoonery. Da, da, da. So, are there any questions, any comments about anything that was said so far?
Someone reached out on the YouTube stream. They had asked, they asked, he said, Imam Musa, they got mad when Bill Cosby bought the rights to Little Rascals and other films depicting blacks in demeaning roles. Could you elaborate about the double standards?
No, that's not part of we're not. Yeah, but anyway, we were just talking about Aunt Jemima and all that and stuff, because when we have Eid, we have stacks of big fluffy waffles. And the syrup that we use, not the pancake mix, but the mixes that we use are ready-made mixes, like what they have at IHOP and all that. But we put eggs, tons of eggs. We put all that good stuff in there. So when you get them, they puffed up, you know, like you put a little, it puffs up, it's giant. What we're saying is about those things, those are unimportant things. And your mama, you're gonna, what is the purpose of, okay, make some Aunt Julie's stuff and put her picture on it. It don't make me no difference, but I just kind of like that. So don't spoil, you didn't have it on there all that time. Now the Little Rascals in demeaning roles. Yesterday, I watched, let me see, what is it? You never watched Amos and Andy, huh? You never seen old George Stevens?
No, I can't say that.
Let me see. I watched, I guess, anyway, they took that stuff off television years ago. It was 50s, 51, and way back then, you know. And so all we did was, I used to run home to see it. I couldn't wait to see it.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this fourth day of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy Festival of Ideas. As you can see,
Okay, well, I was trying to find old Kingfish and them, because I watched about a few minutes of them last night. I mean, just a few minutes. It's so funny.
I'm sorry that there's no one here to answer.
It's demeaning. The roles are demeaning.
Hey everybody, stop clicking around.
I mean, it ain't no like you're gonna build up your self-image. It's the white man's image of Negroes in the 50s, late 40s, and actually it started as a radio program back in the 30s. And when it was a radio program, white folks played it. When it became a TV program, black people had to play it. Okay, so I don't guess I'll be able to get back to any old kingfish, but just to see it, it just make you laugh just to see them old Negroes.
I'm trying to look it up.
Yeah, just look up Amos and Andy. They call it. Yeah, just look up Amos and Andy, and it was de- it was unbelievably pitiful, but a lot of us just loved it. We couldn't stop laughing. In fact, right now, when the silhouette comes on for it, sometime I start laughing just when the silhouette and the credits come on. I just start laughing. But that was a long time ago. Now, the Little Rascals, they had Spanky, Alfalfa, then they had the little guy who was Stymie. Was that Stymie? There was a couple of Negroes. They had stuff in it. Demeaning, yeah, it was demeaning. But that don't have nothing to do with if we want to go forward right now, you have to leave the hurt and all of that. Look, if you want to hurt, just sit there and recount what the white man have done. And he's done it. He done it in spades. And out of the least things he's done is Amos and Andy and that other stuff. That's small stuff. Although it works on the mind. Although it works on the mind. Self-image. Their image that they taught us was an image of a coon, a clown. They used to call Martin Luther King Martin Luther Coon. You know, all of that. No, that was his name. What white folk call him, Martin Luther Coon. You know, okay. Bill Cosby and all of those people of the other world, they having a beautiful wife and going chase white women. Although all them white women talking about Bill Crosby, he just tricked me up to his house. I don't go for it. You know what I mean?
Some of the stuff, I remember when that was really big in the media at the time, it was kind of like, some of the traps these women were laying for him, it was like, come on, you can't go up to the guy's house and just wearing short tops, like.
And he's a big movie star. Yeah, like Mike Tyson was the heavyweight champion of the world. And a little woman, Miss somebody, U.S., he chicked me up to his room at 3 a.m. in the morning. Now, that's a white jury. She can tell that stuff too. You can't tell no nigga jury that. But anyway, brothers and sisters, our message is from here forward. And it sounds crazy and it sounds undoable, but our message is forgiveness. We don't forget the stuff that's happening. We still study it to make sure that we can identify the patterns of behavior when that stuff crop up. We say, oh, that stuff is not needed in this new world. But to wallow in it, we won't make nothing new if we wallow in that stuff in the past. We just won't. Anything else they had?
I don't know if you know this brother, but his name is Najib Abdul Haq. Just wanted to let you know that he's watching.
Okay, yeah.
Brother Jesus allows. Oh, brother did say good talk.
Okay.
Looking forward thing. That was when he chimed in with that comment. And then I was looking at some of our past, uploads and stuff, and it's looking like Mukhtar's getting
Good, 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 good. Well, you got to remember, the message that we have is okay. When we go back to California, when we do certain things that we have to do, part of that is cleaning up the recent behavior of all of those. So not only will Mukhtar, Khadijah have to answer for their behavior, and we're going to be focused on you have to answer for your bad behavior. But Abdul Malik, everybody that was a part of As-Sabiqun, because see, that is to show people what has happened so that it don't happen again. But we're not going to be back there, oh, you did this. You know why? Because, oh, they did this. They ain't did nothing to us. They helped us. You got to remember, every time I look at something they have, it's like a joke. But remember, we also declared to help them. But we have to make sure as we go forward that none of that stuff creeps in to deflate and to destroy and to divert and to sabotage our future. So in one end, we're talking about forgiveness of everybody, forgiveness of America, and forgiveness of them. But we're going to also teach what they did, because see, in order to move over where we want to go, the people have to have belief that they can do that. Right. Our survival right now proves that it's possible. It just proves it. On the highest level, if they go back to when I was a child and come all the way up, and you got a million things, old raggedy cars out here, and they pull this loose, pull that loose. All that stuff is real. So we have already proven what can happen. Okay, now we have to educate people. It is like case studies, a case study. This is a case study on sabotage. This is a case study on diversion of human potential. This is a case study on rent manipulation, on housing manipulation. This is a subject on self-hatred. This is a subject of a whole government trying to scare you to death, and you're laughing at them. They have to see that, because people get scared to death. They really do. They like, that's why if somebody come in that's new on what we're talking about, they might think we half crazy. But you have to listen to at least a few to get a little grounding to know that's actually possible. That really happened? Yes, it happened. It happens all the time. And it's been happening all the time. And you can not only survive it, but you can thrive on that stuff. We have to teach them to do it. So this is a teaching educational process, but it's also rebuilding self-image, self-esteem. And it's also mixed in, you got to look at the combinations. It's forgiveness of all the people involved, but still we have to teach you what you've been involved in so the people will know. Part of our mission was always to thrive on this, to survive on this, and to show people how the stuff works and what they can do. That's always, well, not always, but that's clearly been our mission. We could tell for 25, 30, 40 years. 30 years it's been the mission. We can tell it's been that clear. The closer we get to here, the better we identify, or the focus. It's like a picture that you have and it's out of focus, and the longer you mess with it, it gets. Now, our focus is clear. on what our mission is. It's a clear picture. Everybody can see it in detail. Okay. Everybody that don't want to go, that's up to them. But they can't stop us or slow us down. And I want you to think about this. As absolutely nothing anybody can do, because we're starting from zero right now. Nobody comes by here and talks to us, right? Nobody comes by here and pray. Nobody comes by with a bag of money, right? Nobody does that. They have been successful here in D.C. You don't have to keep nobody waiting. They don't come now. Only way we got to go is up. There's nobody here. They have successfully, the system has, successfully cut off all avenues of everybody coming here, and they've given physical success to everybody that left here. If they got a little place around the corner somewhere, it's full of people. Because that's what they promised them. That's what they got. All the people in California and all that, they left our place. They had Bayer. They had allegiance. What were they supposed to do? It's not only in LA, UCLA, headquarters, all of those people had a commitment to work with us for the positive development of humanity. They're all gone. So what? Right? Here we are. That was the purpose, for them to all leave. So you realize that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. Goodbye. For poor Mukhtar and Khadijah, they need a lot of help, and I'm going to help them. You can tell they need help. They need help bad. They need help bad because to do the things that they do, I'm not saying one of their supposed heroes, but if you can't find nothing I did bad to nobody, like Negroes, everybody came across us. Even people who was here, when they leave, they read with their belly sticking out, all they got pockets full. Nobody leaves around us with nothing. Or wherever they get to, boss man sent it. Nobody has ever left us flat-footed and broke, right? So, whatever they say about us, that's all right. We got a lot of good work to do in California, but it's based on LOVE. It's based on forgiveness. It's based on kindness. Have nobody been able to use that nickel and dime anger stuff for 30 years on back, past 30 years. You know, anger, I'm mad. And the closer you get to now, definitely in the last 20 years, and in the last 10 years, it's been turned over into a good place. Are there any more questions or comments? Yeah, I looked at some, okay, Assalamu alaikum, yeah.